Before the wedding began, my boyfriend locked me in the dressing room. Through the door, he apologized and explained. "You need to understand, Emily is very sick. Her dying wish is to wear a wedding dress just once." So, his white moonlight wore my wedding dress, attended my wedding, and took my place as the bride. After the wedding, I went directly to register my marriage with my best friend's brother. My boyfriend broke down and begged me not to leave him. I slapped him and said, "You need to understand, if I don't marry him, he'll be heartbroken." Chapter 1. The wedding was about to start, but the makeup artist who had been booked 2 months in advance was nowhere to be found. My fiancé, Jason, had also vanished, and I couldn't reach him by phone. Anxiously, I tried to contact our mutual friends to find out where he was. Then, I accidentally saw a post by Emily on her social media from 5 minutes ago. It was a photo of her in an exquisite wedding dress, standing intimately with Jason. I instantly recognized the dress she was wearing. It was the one I had commissioned from a designer 6 months ago. The caption read, "Dressed up, just to be your bride." Seeing that post, my head buzzed. Today was my wedding day. And my fiancé was holding a wedding with another woman, wearing the wedding dress I had personally designed. Furious, I scrutinized the photo and identified it as being taken in another makeup room in this hotel. Just as I was about to storm in and catch them, the door opened. Jason stood outside wearing the suit from the photo. "Anna, you..." Seeing my furious expression, he realized I had seen the post. Without beating around the bush, he directly explained. "You know Emily is seriously ill. Her dying wish was to wear a wedding dress, so I..." "Wear a wedding dress? There are so many wedding dress shops, so many dresses. Why did she have to take mine? Does she want to wear a wedding dress, or does she want to be your bride? Wanting to play the virtuous role afterward, Jason? Don't take me for a fool." When I exposed his little scheme, his face turned red, and his tone became unfriendly. "Anna, do you have no compassion? Can't you be a bit more understanding? Does it matter to fight with a sick person over this?" He knew he was in the wrong but refused to admit it, turning the blame on me, calling me cold-blooded and inhumane. As I listened to him list my faults, I couldn't help but wonder when he started planning this. Emily was shorter than me, but the dress in the photo fit her perfectly. That dress had been tailored to my measurements. This meant someone had given new measurements to the dressmaker. And the background in the photo included wedding photos, with faces that were Jason's and Emily's. Everything was seamless, as if this wedding had always been meant for them. It seemed Jason had planned for Emily to be the bride all along. Chapter 2. Maybe the air conditioning in the dressing room was too high, but the more I thought about it, the colder I felt. Jason, having said enough, reached out to grab my hand, but I shook him off. I looked up at him steadily. "Bring back my wedding dress. I don't want her wearing it." He frowned. "Stop causing trouble, Anna. It's just a ceremony. We can have another one anytime." His dismissive tone and the irritation in his eyes stung me. I said, "Never mind the dress. If she wants a wedding ceremony, does the groom have to be you? Is she being unreasonable using her illness as an excuse, or are you just drifting in your feelings, taking the easy way out?" Maybe my words hit a nerve. His face turned ugly. He pushed past me, heading for the door, leaving me with harsh words. "Dating you is exhausting. Your controlling nature never considers my feelings. Why make everyone uncomfortable?" Was I the one not considering his feelings? Was I the one being too controlling? The sound of the door locking pulled me back to reality. I quickly chased after him, kicking the door. "I don't agree. I've been looking forward to this wedding for so long. It's not just a ceremony." Through the door, his impatient voice came through. "Can't you stop being so cold-hearted? She's dying and you can't make a small concession?" She's dying. Because she was sick, I had conceded so much for so long, and now I had to give up my wedding and my groom. Was it my fault she got sick? I gripped the doorknob, calming down. "Jason, think carefully. Don't regret it." There was a pause, then the sound of his determined footsteps faded away. I slid down the cold door, feeling empty inside. She had really ruined my wedding. Emily had succeeded. My phone on the table rang urgently. It was my parents calling. I didn't answer in time, and the call ended. The dressing room was just behind the hall, separated by a door, and I could clearly hear the commotion and astonishment outside. Then, guided by the MC, there was applause. Emily sent another video. The camera focused on the big screen, showing the photos Jason and I had painstakingly taken, all replaced with AI-generated faces of Emily and Jason. The perfect photo spots we found under the scorching sun, the whole day of back-breaking poses, all turned into a wedding gift for Emily. This angered me more than anything Jason had said. Despite my trembling hands, I opened the next video. In it, Jason walked towards her, step by step, under the spotlight. In the shadows behind him, my parents looked distressed, searching for me, but were restrained by security guards. Seeing this, I couldn't hold back anymore. Tears finally fell, drop by drop, onto the phone screen, over my parents' faces. I had chosen the wrong person, and now my parents were being humiliated with me. I didn't watch the rest of the videos. Amidst the festivities just a wall away, my mind cleared. I wiped my tears away in front of the mirror. I felt only relief. At least I saw the truth before getting the marriage certificate. Chapter 3. The long ceremony finally ended. The door to the dressing room opened, and Jason stood at the door. He rubbed his temples, looking just as worn out. "I'll make it up to you for this. I'll explain to your parents too." I interrupted him. "No need. They are my parents, not yours. It has nothing to do with you, so no need." He was taken aback. Jason, looking exhausted, said, "Don't say things in anger. You know Emily is suffering too. What's wrong with giving in to her a bit?" Even now, he thought he was in the right and continued to defend Emily. For a moment, I didn't know what else to say to him. I said, "If you think it's just anger, then so be it. Today, I'll pack my things and move out. I'll ask someone to sell the marital home. If you don't want to sell, just transfer the money my family contributed to my account." After saying that, I saw my parents standing not far away. I left him with a "that's that" and hurried to catch up with them. They were surrounded by relatives. As I approached, I heard someone say, "So, she got dumped." My aunt was lecturing. "I always said women need to be strong. Look at this, can't even control her own man. He replaced her on the wedding day. How embarrassing." I pulled my parents away, feeling heartbroken at their awkward expressions. Ignoring that my aunt was an elder, I retorted, "Are you my aunt or Jason's aunt? He replaced me because he's irresponsible and untrustworthy. He didn't discuss it with me because he's brainless and disrespectful. What does that have to do with whether I'm strong or not? If I had known a day earlier, today's groom wouldn't have been him." My aunt left, muttering to herself, thoroughly embarrassed. My mom held my hand, and I saw the worry on her face. I reassured her. "It's okay. If we don't get married, we don't. I don't care." After sending them off, I went alone to the marital home to pack my things. My words were clear and my mind was rational. But emotions were uncontrollable. Tears rolled down on their own. The marital home was decorated by Jason and me. There were too many traces of him inside. The small ceramic pot was something I bought knowing he would have stomach aches after social engagements. I planned to make him nourishing soup every week. The walk-in closet was designed by him because he saw that I had liked a post about a boyfriend designing a closet for his girlfriend on a social media app. After it was installed, I laughed at how extravagant it was, and he hugged my arm, asking for a reward. We met in college, and later, we were in a long-distance relationship for a year because of work. He spent a lot of effort pursuing me during that time. When he confessed, he said he admired how confident and strong I was during debates. Back then, I shone in his eyes. But now, he found my assertiveness overbearing. The light in his eyes had become a source of pain for him. I packed my things bit by bit, detaching myself from the memories piece by piece. When I finished packing, I realized that 7 years with him only amounted to a box and a half. I was wondering how to drag the box out to throw it away when the door opened. My best friend, Claire, rushed in. Seeing her, my long-maintained composure crumbled and my nose stung. Claire gave me a tight hug, squeezing me hard. If I had known, I would have been your bridesmaid. At least you wouldn't have been alone. She had disliked Jason for a long time, hating his indecisiveness and refusal to let go of his white moonlight. She hated him so much that she didn't want to attend my wedding. She had even said harshly that I would regret marrying Jason. She said bluntly that it would be hard to compete with a dead person if Emily died. This had caused a rift between us. Now, it seemed she was right. I was so grateful to still have a friend like her. With Claire around, the days weren't so hard to bear. She had specifically taken a business trip to avoid my wedding. But as soon as her plane landed, she heard what had happened and rushed to find me, afraid I would be upset and do something rash. She even took a vacation to stay with me, touching me deeply. The day she started arranging blind dates for me, Jason showed up. I sneered, a scumbag at the door needed a good beating. Chapter 4. Before opening the door, Claire pointed at my forehead, warning me. If you reconcile with him this time, I will really cut ties with you. I smiled and agreed. Whoever reconciles is a dog. My dad opened the door. The bags Jason had brought were thrown out by my dad, but he kept picking them up. After several rounds, the neighbors came out to watch the commotion. Finally, with many apologies, my dad let him in, albeit with a stern face. Once inside, Jason headed straight to the kitchen. My parents exchanged glances, and Claire quietly started texting, complaining about his shamelessness. Watching his back, I felt a mix of emotions. In our 5th year together, the relationship had finally stabilized. That was when he gave me an anniversary gift, putting a necklace on me and tentatively asking if we should meet each other's parents. Blushing, I shyly agreed, throwing myself into his arms. We first went to his house, where his mother gave me a big red envelope, and Emily's parents were also there, thanking me for not minding their daughter always troubling Jason. They even gifted us a set of furniture. Knowing I felt uncomfortable, he was very attentive at my house the next day, helping in the kitchen and serving tea. He visited several times, and everyone said my parents had found a good son-in-law. But now, all of that was in the past. My parents seemed to have remembered those times too. My dad sighed. What a mess. My mom looked at me. Should we kick him out? My dad tried to mediate. He seems sincere. We know Emily's situation too. You can't entirely blame Jason. He patted my shoulder. Give him another chance. If it doesn't work out, I won't let him in next time. Claire rolled her eyes, making me laugh. When Jason came out of the kitchen with dishes, he saw me laughing and seemed relieved. He invited us to the dining room, acting more like the host than my parents. Not wanting to embarrass my dad, I pulled out a chair and sat down. Claire sat to my left and seeing Jason approach the right, quickly held onto the chair. She gave him a fake smile. Someone's already sitting here. Just then, there was a knock on the door and Claire hurried to open it, letting in a tall figure. It was her brother, Ethan. Standing next to me, Ethan was a head taller than Jason. The siblings flanked me, completely blocking out Jason. Claire put a piece of meat on my plate, while Ethan, wearing gloves, silently peeled shrimp. He placed them on a plate by my side, making it clear they were for me. It was obvious to everyone that Jason had lost his appetite. Halfway through the meal, Jason's phone rang. A weak female voice came through. Jason, my surgery is tonight. Won't you come and stay with me? The table fell silent. Jason hesitated. Your parents will be with you. He hung up. My dad's expression softened a bit. But I felt a cold mockery inside, unsure if I was laughing at him or myself. As expected, the phone rang again soon after. This time, there were desperate breaths and sobs. Jason, I only want you. I'm in so much pain, won't you come? This could be our last time together. The sound of chopsticks being slammed on the table was my dad's reaction. Jason looked at my dad, then at me. I saw his hand tightly gripping the phone. I picked up another shrimp, nonchalantly saying, "Go ahead." As if given permission, he looked at me gratefully and stood up. Anna, wait for me. I promise we'll have an even grander wedding. I had intended to let this slide and talk to him about breaking up later, not wanting to ruin the moment, but he had to disgust me. I put down my chopsticks, wiped my mouth slowly, and stood up. I'll go with you, to see her for the last time. He hesitated for a moment. All right. Chapter 5. Emily seemed surprised to see me. As soon as Jason reached her bedside, she eagerly threw herself into his arms. Almost reflexively, he hugged her back. The worry and tension in his eyes were genuine. Then she loudly kissed him on the cheek. Only when he awkwardly turned to look at me did she notice I was standing at the door. I had just put away my phone, having recorded their intimate moment and sent it to her father. I also sent him the social media post she made during the wedding and the videos she sent me. The Smith family was well educated and had a decent family ethos. From our first meeting, I knew they were good parents who had raised a bad daughter. Their absence from the wedding confirmed they were unaware of the situation. How could I not let them see how their precious daughter had humiliated me? Emily complained. What is she doing here? What if she affects my mood for the surgery? I placed the bouquet of carnations in the vase by her bed. I'm here to wish you a successful surgery and a speedy recovery. She was at a loss for words. I leaned in and whispered in her ear. Please take this central air conditioner, Jason, off my hands. It's only right for scrap to go to the recycling station. With that, I left. Mainly to avoid getting blamed for anything. As soon as I stepped out of the ward, I heard the sound of the vase smashing on the floor. This was followed by Emily's loud cursing and Jason's attempts to calm her. The door opened and closed, and Jason came out. Frowning, he asked me. What did you say to her? You know she's a patient. Yes, a patient. I rolled my eyes. If you want to worship her, go ahead. I'm not playing along. He said. Emily's condition is still unstable. I have to stay at the hospital tonight. I peeked through the window and saw Emily glaring at me, looking far from unstable. I nodded slightly. You don't need to tell me. After all, we had nothing to do with each other anymore. He held my hand. You understand, right? It's a life we're talking about. She loves me the most. With such a high-risk surgery, how can I let her leave with regrets? I hadn't had the chance to tell him we were already broken up, that even if he planned to spend the night with her, it was none of my business. Emily started yelling again. He rushed back into the ward to tend to her. Chapter 6. I went back home, briefly explained everything to my parents, and then holed up in my apartment, sleeping until daylight. When I woke up, I saw on my social media feed that Jane's surgery was successful. I liked the post, genuinely happy for her. I had barely taken a few bites of breakfast when Mike showed up at my door. The apartment my parents bought me was right above theirs, and the Smith siblings lived next door. When Mike rang the doorbell, Katie heard it too. After a commotion, there was the sound of an argument. I opened the door to see Mike drenched, looking utterly miserable. Seeing me, he managed to suppress his anger and put on a smile. I brought you breakfast. I glanced at the steamed buns in his hand. Did Jane eat? Mike said. I know I didn't handle this well. Jane has finished her surgery now, and there's nothing standing between us anymore. Will you forgive me? His words were earnest. He was the one to say sweet things, and he was also the one who didn't avoid Jane's kiss yesterday. The qualities I once admired now seemed shameless. Mike added, You will forgive me, it's just a matter of time, as long as I'm sincere enough. He walked into the living room on his own. Come have breakfast, it won't taste good if it gets cold. I found it amusing. Do you still want to hold another wedding with me? He seemed unsurprised by my concession. As if he thought I would eventually give in. He even looked smug, as if it was easy to coax me. I asked again. Are you going to invite the same people as when you married Jane? His face turned ugly. I laughed. Mike, you're too arrogant. We've already broken up, understand? He couldn't believe it. Although he pursued me first, he always held the upper hand in our relationship. He knew I looked aloof but was actually easy to talk to. I always accommodated him. Mike tightly grasped my hand. I don't agree with breaking up. Stop saying things in anger. Anna, don't be mad, okay? Just then, Katie glanced at her phone, her expression turning anxious as she pulled me away from Mike. She was uncharacteristically serious. Come with me, my brother is going to jump off a building. Katie and I rushed to the rooftop. Mike followed us up. The building was very tall, over 30 stories high. John was standing outside the railing. Fortunately, the railing was set back from the edge, so he didn't seem in immediate danger of falling. Katie was desperate. Brother, come down and talk things out. John ignored her and looked straight at me. I want to talk to Anna. All my friends called me Anna, but only he called me Annie since we were kids. Thinking of this, I took a few steps forward and gently coaxed him. I'm listening. Can you sit down first? John's ears turned bright red as he stiffly said, I've had a crush on you for 8 years. He enunciated each word, like reciting a lesson. Chapter 7. John glanced at Mike. I've known you a year longer than he has. Mike looked bewildered, not understanding the situation. John continued. I was ready to confess to you, but then you told me you liked someone else. I was stunned for a moment. It was the year I started dating Mike. John had gotten into our university for his graduate studies and often asked me for help, which made Mike quite jealous. So I distanced myself from John, using my busy studies as an excuse. Thinking about it now, I felt a twinge of bitterness. The boundaries in relationships, did Mike really not understand? No, he was just constantly testing my limits. John's voice carried in the wind, gradually becoming more natural. I thought he could make you happy, so I watched you get married. But he humiliated you at the wedding, and you still want to get back with him. His voice grew agitated, breaking with anger. Katie turned away, not wanting to see her brother's embarrassment. John seemed to feel awkward too, coughing lightly. John said, in short, if you get back together with him, I won't live. I coughed lightly too. I won't get back with him. Just come down first. Really? I nodded seriously. Really? John immediately moved to climb back over the railing, scaring me half to death. Katie coughed again. John stepped back. He frowned. No, what if you go back on your word? Mike opened his mouth, as if to say something. I glanced at him, and he closed it. I promised John. I won't go back on my word. Write a statement. John thought for a moment, troubled. Or better yet, marry me. I agreed promptly. Okay? Mike looked at me in disbelief. Anna. His eyes reddened. Are you really going to give up our 7-year relationship for him? He knew I was a sucker for pitiful looks. But the premise was, it had to be from someone I liked. Mike's face had grown tiresome the moment I saw him in that photo with Jane trying on wedding dresses. I threw his words back at him. Impatiently, I said, or should I watch him die? It's just getting a marriage certificate, don't be so heartless. John added from the side. You were with her for 7 years, but I've had a crush on her for 8. And we've known each other since we were kids, much longer than you. My bad mood turned into laughter at his words. Mike threw out one last line. I know you're still angry. Don't make a decision you'll regret. Then he left, looking dejected. Katie flipped him off behind his back and mimicked his voice with a sarcastic tone. I was thoroughly amused by the siblings. Chapter 8. After Mike left, I waved to John. Come down, stop acting, it's too dangerous. John's face turned red as he awkwardly climbed back over the railing. I hurried over to hold his hand and help him back. Katie's eyes widened. You figured it out early? I laughed. Not that early, from the moment he started his heartfelt confession. Katie scratched her head, puzzled. Then why did you go along with it? I glanced at John. If I didn't agree, how would you end it? Would he really jump? Katie choked on a cough while John turned even redder, hiding behind his sister. I slung my arm around her shoulder, smiling. I know you mean well. I really do. This time I'm truly, absolutely done with him. She looked uncomfortable. Good to know. As Katie and I were about to leave the rooftop, John spoke up. It wasn't all an act. Katie looked at us and then slipped away. I paused, pulling out a smile. What? He lifted his head to look at me. The crush, it's real. I knew he was using this drama to express his true feelings hidden in awkward jokes. But I had just ended a long relationship and felt exhausted. Just as I was about to brush it off, he stepped forward. The sunlight on his fair face made him look sincere and passionate. I marveled at how my childhood friend had grown so handsome. He said earnestly, I'm only 3 years older than you. I don't have a first love to look back on. I got into your university for graduate school. You know my qualifications. I got into a research institute this year. My salary is a bit lower than Mike's, but I'm young and will catch up next year. Most importantly, the person I choose will always come first and never be mistreated. His sincerity made it hard to ignore his feelings. As I was about to find a reason to refuse, he leaned closer, looking up at me with his big pleading eyes. Do I need to cry too? At that moment, my heart pounded like a drum. I must have lost my mind. Why else would I agree to marry John so quickly, when I had dated Mike for 7 years before agreeing to marry him? It proved my decision was right. But with John's puppy eyes, I couldn't help but soften and agree. He said I promised to marry him. So now we were leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau with our marriage certificate. The bright sun and the warm certificate in my hand felt surreal. But it was okay. I'm someone who knows when to cut my losses. If this marriage ever drains me instead of enriching me, I will leave rationally. Though I doubt John would give me the chance. I looked at his uncontrollable smile and couldn't help but laugh with him. Now I just had to figure out how to break the news to our parents and Katie. Chapter 9. Walking home, I felt a tickling sensation on my finger. Peeking out of the corner of my eye, I saw John trying to hold my hand but quickly pulling back. After a long time, he noticed I was watching him, turned his head away, and his ears turned red, his fingers twisting nervously. He really blushes easily. I grabbed his hand. He didn't dare look at me but held on tightly. We walked awkwardly hand in hand all the way to the building. Seeing who was standing at the door, John's face fell. Mike was there, his eyes stopping briefly on our clasped hands. John reflexively tried to pull away. I held his hand firmly. He looked at me in surprise. I smiled reassuringly, signaling him not to worry. Mike was nothing to me now. John was my husband. Mike looked dejected but still managed to say something infuriating. He said, Don't use someone else to make me jealous, Anna. I know I was wrong. I didn't justify myself, instead I asked, What about Jane? From what I knew, Jane's parents had scolded her and kept her away from Mike under the pretense of needing to rest. They had only recently found out about her relationship with Mike. I looked at the small box he took out, containing a pink crystal necklace. It was my favorite necklace when we were dating, but I never bought it. Yet in the photo of him and Jane trying on wedding dresses, she was wearing that very necklace. My tone was calm. A necklace is a personal item, not something you can give to two people at the same time. You say you regret it now, but it's only because you couldn't juggle both of us successfully. Do you really love me? Or do you just feel it's not worth giving up on me after investing so much? Or am I just your fallback because you couldn't have Jane? I tightened my grip on John's hand. I'm not someone who clings to sunk costs, and I hope you aren't either. I really did love him over these 7 years. But people change, and the Mike who subtly criticized Jane for being unreasonable was now gone. Mike finally saw the disappointment in my eyes. He forced a smile. I just made one mistake. I didn't want to talk anymore and looked down to call security. John's hand slipped, and a bright red booklet fell to the ground. He picked it up with feigned surprise. Whose marriage certificate fell? Mike's forced smile vanished as he stared at the certificate in a daze. Watching John dust it off and carefully put it in his pocket, I found it amusing and adorable. Ignoring Mike's reaction, John and I entered the elevator. Chapter 10. The elevator stopped on the first floor, and Katie, who was picking up a package, got in. As soon as she stepped in, I let go of John's hand. I was okay with others seeing, but with Katie, I felt embarrassed about having hooked up with her brother. Fortunately, John just gave me a quiet look and then started talking to Katie about other things. I occasionally chipped in. Katie squeezed John aside to show me some gossip on her phone. John suddenly spoke up. "Sis. What?" Katie was impatient. John said, "How did you know I spent $9 today?" Katie was confused. "What $9? Thinking of the accidentally dropped marriage certificate, I had a bad feeling and tried to interrupt. But John had already pulled out the certificate. Under the elevator lights, it caught Katie's full attention. I covered my face. Hearing Katie's shout, "You two got married?" The elevator dinged and the doors opened to reveal Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who were holding hands and about to go out. The five of us stood there, staring at each other. Finally, gentle Mrs. Smith asked, "Who got married?" An hour later, my parents dragged me to the Smith family to apologize for making such a hasty decision. To my surprise, it was the usually shy John who detailed his sincere feelings, listed his assets, and even offered to sign a prenuptial agreement. During this process, he swore that if he was unfaithful, he would leave with nothing and remain single and childless for the rest of his life, clearly throwing shade at a certain someone. After my recent experience, my parents were hesitant. But moved by Katie's genuine words, they finally nodded in agreement. Mr. and Mrs. Smith were also worried about my sincerity after what I had been through. "I'm serious," I said, holding John's hand, swearing under his gentle gaze. Thanks to our family's reputation and John being someone my parents watched grow up. The most important thing was that we were already legally married. My parents respected my wishes and discussed the wedding date with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I said there was no need. I wanted a destination wedding. It wasn't that I had a psychological aversion to ceremonies, I just felt that trying something new might be nice. John was excited, agreeing enthusiastically. Later, I found out he had to promise to be an assistant for 6 months to get time off from the institute. We set off on a sunny day. John said the sunrise at our destination would be beautiful. I glanced at him in the passenger seat, struggling to stay awake while talking to me, and my heart felt sweet as honey. "Sleep, we'll be there soon." He closed his eyes, mumbling before he fell asleep, asking if I would regret it. I didn't know if I would regret it. But I knew I always had the courage to start over. The end.